Y estamos de regreso con ustedes aquí en KBBF 89.1 FM, Radio Cultura, Radio Comunidad. We're back with you here on KBBF 89.1 FM and on the web at kbbf.org. And so we are going to do the first interview, and we have the privilege and opportunity to speak with Amie Carter, and she has a translator, Ricardo Diaz, who's going to be doing the translation for her today. And so we are going to get started. We have 25 minutes for this interview. And so I first just want to welcome you to the show, Líderes del Futuro, here on KBBF. And I want to start with one question, and that is, tell us a little bit about yourself and what do you think you can offer to the community in general, but with specialty to the Latinx community, since they are the ones who tend to listen to the show the most.
Great. Well, my name is Amie Carter, and I have really done every job in education. I started as an English teacher. I've been an elementary principal, middle school, and high school as well. I've led districts, and right now I'm working at a county office of education down in Marin. I'm the assistant superintendent there, and so I really have a deep understanding of the county office of education, what the job is, how to do it well. I think a big part of what drives me is I really want to serve the Latin community. My son-in-law here is my translator today, and both of my grandchildren are bilingual and bicultural. I've spent my career really focused on closing the opportunity gap for students. I have received both state and national recognition for doing that work, and it's an important passion of mine. Especially here in Sonoma County, we know we've got a portrait that's telling us that we need to do better. And I really want to step in this job to do exactly that.
Thank you. Entonces, la pregunta es, primeramente, bienvenida al programa Líderes del Futuro en KBBF. Si nos podría dar un poco de información acerca de quién es usted y qué es lo que usted podrá hacer para apoyar a la comunidad Latinx en estos tiempos.
Ok, mi nombre es Amie Carter. Fui maestra de diferentes escuelas de inglés en la escuela elementaria, escuela de preparatoria, y ahorita estoy trabajando como asistente del superintendente para las escuelas. Tengo muy buen entendimiento de cómo es que, cómo servir la comunidad latina, y he recibido muchos reconocimientos del Estado por el trabajo que estoy haciendo como asistente de superintendente.
Gracias. And so the second question is, the biggest concern or worry for the Latinx community is that their children, whether or not their children graduate from high school and whether or not they will continue on with their education. So the question is, how will you support these parents and their concerns?
Yeah, I think we've all seen the portrait of the graduate that shows that just not enough of our Latinx students are going to college, and that's a problem. I think that has to do with the educational institution just not doing a good enough job helping those young people understand the opportunities that are there for them. The fact that they can get free job training, free college education, and what that means for them in the long run professionally. So one of the areas that I've been able to have success is when I've hired Latin school counselors, and they're able to connect with families, able to step into that education. They both English and Spanish speaking, but I think we need to do a better job creating, putting people in those right positions and creating those connections so that our young people understand the opportunities that are there. I see that gap as one that is the responsibility of the schools, and it's something that we have to do better on because these are our young people and these are our future.
Gracias, thank you. Entonces, la segunda pregunta es, una de las preocupaciones más grandes para la comunidad Latinx es que si sus hijos o hijas, sus estudiantes se van a graduar Y una vez más, si se gradúan, ¿qué es lo que van a hacer para continuar con su educación? ¿Cómo usted planea apoyar a estos padres, madres y tutores, tutoras?
Que como ya sabemos, no hay suficientes latinos que se gradúan del colegio. Y esto tiene que ver con la educación que se recibe. Hay muchas personas que no saben, o muchos estudiantes que no saben que hay muchos recursos como ir al colegio gratis, o diferentes entrenamientos para diferentes trabajos. Yo como como asistente del superintendente, les he dado empleo a varios latinos que han estado ayudándome para ayudar a los estudiantes.
Okay. Gracias. Question 3 is, on average, 60% of graduating high school students who go on to community colleges and state universities, when they are asked what their major is going to be, their answer is, I don't know. How do we go from about supporting kids to determine what careers they will pursue much, much earlier? And what specifically is the role of the superintendent in this?
So we've definitely got to start with our young people. Freshman year is when we need to start a 9-year plan for students. They need to think not only how am I going to get that high school diploma, but what am I going to do in the years afterwards? And give them those high school years the opportunity to try a lot of different passions, take a lot of different courses, figure out what is exciting to them. Some of the things we can do is arrange for work internships and get students out in the field, get them taking dual enrollment classes where they're getting college credit. But I think that high school is the perfect time to discover those passions. I get really frustrated when I watch our senior year in the state of California. A lot of our students really only have to take 2 classes to graduate. And so they have time during their schedule, and that's exactly where we can be having these opportunities and have them take classes, have them go to job sites and do new things. As the county superintendent, I have the opportunity to bridge those gaps. So I'm able to network with businesses and help create those internship opportunities, network with the local colleges, with Santa Rosa Junior College and Sonoma State, and create those opportunities for high schools so that our senior year is really a place where we can spark those passions.
Thank you. La tercera pregunta es, usualmente 60% de las estudiantes graduándose de la preparatoria, quienes van al colegio comunitario o la universidad, cuando se les pregunta cuál va a ser su área de estudio, dicen, yo no sé. Entonces, su pregunta es, ¿cómo le hacemos para apoyar más a estas estudiantes para que puedan determinar qué carrera van a seguir con tiempo? ¿Y qué específicamente es el trabajo de él o la superintendente en esta área?
Ok, como ya sabemos, cuando ellos empiezan como freshmen es cuando deberemos tener la oportunidad de ayudarles. No esperar hasta que son seniors, sino desde que empiezan en la high school, ayudarles a que sepan de que pueden tener diferentes métodos de una carrera. Darles la oportunidad de tratar diferentes cosas y enseñarles que pueden agarrar créditos de college para así ir a sus carreras que van a tener en el futuro. Y para mi trabajo es crear más oportunidades con las escuelas regionales para darle oportunidades a los estudiantes.
Gracias. And the next question is, there is a disparity between white and Latinx students in regards to suspensions and expulsions. This has been an issue that has happened for decades. What do you plan to do to address this issue?
Our county has done a lot of work around restorative practices and looking at that. I think that we're making good progress that way, but we can't have this conversation without also talking about those hidden biases and making sure that we're doing some bias and racial and equity work within our staff. I think nationally we see this as a system problem, and it's one that I've had to deal with several times in different districts I've been in. One of the things that I've done that's been very successful is to put the data right in front of administrators and staff and show them on a daily basis the inequities, and have them think through, if we only have 44% Latin students, but they make 80% of our suspensions, we have a problem. And it's a problem that's based in race. And so you've got to confront that head on. And at the same time, you have to have solutions that are non-punitive. So solutions where you're able to talk to the child, help the child understand their actions, give that child some support, some counseling, so that they're able to make different choices.
Thank you. Entonces, la siguiente pregunta es la número 4. Hay una diferencia muy grande entre la comunidad anglosajona y la comunidad latinex, y estudiantes específicamente en el número de suspensiones y expulsiones. Este ha sido un problema que ha existido por décadas. ¿Qué es lo que planea usted hacer para controlar este problema que existe presentemente?
Sí, estamos tratando de hacer progreso, pero sabemos que todavía es un problema. Sabemos que necesitamos contar más gente latina que pueda ayudar a los estudiantes. Y lo que yo he hecho es que agarro los datos, el data, y se los enseño a los miembros del comité. Y así ellos saben cuáles son los problemas que están existiendo en la escuela y tratar de hacer algo para ayudarlos.
Gracias. Next, research tells us that students who are English language learners and who have been labeled as English language learners for 6 years or more have a lower chance of graduating high school. What do you see as the responsibility of the superintendent's office that would affect the outcome to be able to make sure that ELL or English language learner students are successful and reclassified prior to the 6 years?
Well, when I was a high school teacher, I did teach English language development, and it was so much fun. And I can see how critically important it is to get that right and to do that rapidly. When I was principal at Rancho Cotati High School, I walked into an English language development class, and the students were there with workbooks and doing coursework that was at the middle school level, even though they were at high school. And I asked one of the students, one of the Hispanic students, I said, how do you like this class? And he said, you mean the stupid class? And I went home and thought, you know what? That is the problem right there, right? We have these students in doing lower level coursework. They're not with their peers. They're not getting the opportunities, their language. We're telling them that there's something wrong with them. We've demoralized them. So I went back, I closed the class. We stopped offering it. I got those students back in mainstream classes with peers. So they were getting a lot of that English language. They were reading the same books as the English speakers. And then I built in a support class that was there to help them study. So now the message from the school was, you are doing okay. You're right there with your peers. You just need a little extra help and support. And I saw such greater gains just by doing that. So I think in many ways, it's a problem we've been solving the wrong way. And we need to look at practices that actually work, that keep a child motivated, that keep a child holding a strong self-esteem, that feel inclusionary. And as the county superintendent, I'm going to be pushing to make sure that those practices are the ones that are in our schools.
Thank you. Entonces, los estudios nos enseñan que para estudiantes que son aprendices de inglés, si continúan tomando esas clases 6 años o más, esto puede causarles que muy pocos de ellos, ellas se puedan graduar de la preparatoria. ¿cómo ve usted la responsabilidad del superintendente o la superintendente de hacer algo para asegurarse que estas estudiantes sobresalgan y no tengan que estar aprendiendo inglés por tantos años?
Okay. Yo como maestra de inglés es muy importante para mí que los estudiantes aprendan bien. Lo que yo he notado o cuando estaba como maestra de inglés, yo noté que muchos estudiantes estaban leyendo a un grado más bajo que el que deberían. Entonces yo me hice la tarea de que cambiar el sistema para que no tengan que leer así, cambiar el sistema para que no se retrasen y sigan con los demás estudiantes. Y que el mensaje cambie, que el mensaje sea de soporte y mensaje de motivación y no de que están haciendo algo mal o que ellos son los que no saben hacer las cosas, sino darle soporte en ese aspecto.
Gracias. Question 6 out of 7. What is your view on charter schools in general? Are they good for the community or not?
So I think that in the state of California, Governor Newsom has put in some legislation that's really helped elevate our charter schools. We're seeing, we have some legislation that really prevents some of those for-profit charters that made some horrible headlines out there. In my opinion, I think the charter schools are not going to go away in the state of California. And so I think that we need to continue to focus on those accountability measures, and the charter schools need to be held to the same standards as our public education system. And when they do that, there's some space for some really creative innovation in the charter world. So I think as long as we're holding them accountable, we can coexist together.
Thank you. Entonces, estamos a la sexta de 7 preguntas. ¿Cuál es su punto de vista en las escuelas que les llaman charter? ¿Cree usted que son buenas instituciones o malas instituciones para nuestra comunidad?
Como sabemos, las escuelas en el estado de California han hecho algunas cosas que no son tan bien. Pero no se van a ir. Son escuelas que van a estar en el estado y lo único que podemos hacer es mantenerlas, hacerlas responsables por el currículo y lo que hacen en la escuela y trabajar juntos para que todos los estudiantes aprendan de la misma manera.
Gracias. And now we turn to the area of Juvenile Hall. There is a disproportionate amount of Latinx kids in Juvenile Hall. Again, this has been an issue, a problem really for decades, and it relates to suspensions and expulsions. How can the superintendent's office, which oversees the education in Juvenile Hall, prepare students to go back to regular school and not fall behind?
So I was recently at our alternative education high school and learned a little bit more about this program and its goals. And in the past, I've been a principal of alternative high school. And I think my thinking about those students is that the schools have failed those students. We have failed to make those students feel included. And we have failed to help those students understand what is appropriate and proper ethical behavior. And so I see those students as ones that we have an even deeper responsibility for. And that's got to look very robust so that we can get those students back where they belong, which is with their peers, which is feeling successful during the day, having healthy relationships. So I think anytime that happens, you've got to sit down and really create a plan for that individual student. You've got to figure out what the motivators are, look into therapy, family resources, opportunities that are non-punitive to help that student come back. And then once they're back, you've got to continue to have those supports to make sure that that they're successful throughout the day. You know, we've just got to send a different message to these students other than, you know, you need to be away from the school. It's got to be, you know, there's some things you need to learn, but you're welcome back and you're always going to be a part of this, and you're a child and you're a teenager, and with that comes mistakes and growth.
Thank you. Y la siguiente pregunta, ahora vamos a hablar acerca de la juvenil, el centro de detención de jóvenes y jovencitas. Sabemos que hay un número muy grande de estudiantes Latinx que terminan en la juvenil, y esto ha sido un problema que ha existido por muchas décadas, que se relaciona al punto que hablamos acerca de suspensiones y expulsiones. ¿Cómo podrá la oficina de él o la superintendente mejor preparar a estudiantes cuando salgan de la juvenil para que puedan regresar a la escuela y no quedarse atrás en sus estudios?
Ok, como ya sabemos, las escuelas desafortunadamente han fallado a los estudiantes. Hay educación alternativa que les estamos dando, y yo he estado atenta a esas escuelas alternativas para ayudar a esos estudiantes que están en Juvenile Hall, y crear un plan para los estudiantes, tener un plan para antes de que van a salir y después que van a salir, decirles y apoyarlos y decirles que pueden regresar a la sociedad normal. Solo hay cosas que tienen que aprender y cosas como se les pueden ayudar, y ayudarlos.
Gracias. And so that takes us to the last question, which is really an opportunity for you to provide us with a final comment. So the floor is all yours.
Great. Well, I'm very excited about this opportunity and this race. We haven't had the chance to pick leadership in this office for over 20 years. And I think now is the perfect time. I really think we're in the middle of a national racial conversation where we have the opportunity to learn from our mistakes and move forward. During the pandemic, we saw students who did very well, who actually learned quite a lot. And we all know what those households look like. They tended to be college educated parents, a warm meal, you know, no food insecurity. And then we saw children who really struggled and who fell far behind. And I think it's a call to action for our county, and it's an opportunity for us to change this. It's our moment, and I really want to lead during that change and during this reckoning. You know, having my son-in-law Ricky here, we have a lot of conversations around education, and when he's talked about his educational experience, he said that, you know, everything told him that he didn't belong. So going to school, he saw cool classes with kids working on cars, but Ricky didn't know how to get there, right? And his schedule kept getting changed. Am I taking English? Am I taking Spanish? You know, and systemically, it was a real negative message that got sent to someone who I love very much. And I want to make sure that the educational system is different for students like that in the future. That we're taking the time to make those connections. And making sure that they have access and equal opportunity to everything that the educational system offers. Household resources should not be the determining factor in any student's success. And we need to start looking at being bilingual as an incredible asset. I'm the only candidate that's running that has a bilingual cross-credential language acquisition credential. And so that means that I spent a lot of time studying how to serve English language learners. And under law in state California, you can't even have English language learners in your classroom without that credential. So I see that as something very important. It's something that is a differentiator for me. The Press Democrat spoke about that. But I want to be the person here to serve our county through the years ahead. And help change some of these metrics that we find so saddening in the portrait of Sonoma.
Thank you. Okay. Si puede traducir el último mensaje.
Ahora en este tiempo de la pandemia, como ya sabemos, hubo cosas buenas y cosas malas. Había varios estudiantes que hicieron muy bien, y eso era porque, como sabemos, sus padres tal vez eran que fueron al colegio, asistieron al colegio. Y igualmente vimos a muchos estudiantes que desafortunadamente no hicieron muy bien, y fue porque no tenían seguridad de comida en la casa, los padres tenían que trabajar. No tenían el mismo soporte que los otros estudiantes. Yo veo esto como una oportunidad para ayudar a esos estudiantes. Yo quiero ser la persona que les va a ayudar y que les va a hacer, que les va a dar oportunidades iguales a los estudiantes hispanos, igual que a los demás estudiantes. Crear esas oportunidades para ellos, para que no se sientan diferentes a los demás estudiantes.
Okay. And with that, I want to thank you both for taking the time and being with us here on KBBF. And again, I wish you the best and thank you for being with us again today. Gracias por estar con nosotros, nosotras el día de hoy. Le deseo lo mejor y una vez más se le agradece su tiempo. Thank you both.
Gracias, Rafael.
All right,
Gracias.
bye-bye.